So this week's topic of Amuna Mondays is actually dedicated to a baby that passed away, and his name was Shalom ben Nechama Rachel, and may his neshama have an ultimate aliyah. So this week's topic of Amuna Mondays was redefining the purpose of Hishtadlut. So Hishtadlut is defined as the amount of effort, the effort part that you put into something. So it's a lot of people will refer to, oh, I don't get anything. It's oh, this isn't working out. It's oh, did you do your part? So that's what Hishtadlut is. But the problem with that is the way that it's being currently defined. The way that it's currently being defined is more like an effort that you like your part, which is in a way separating yourself from Hashem. So when broken down, it actually comes up with a complete contradiction with Emunah, because the whole thing about Emunah and Bitachon is faith and trust that Hashem's going to handle it. But then the Hishtadlut part is oh, I have to separate myself and I have to make sure I'm doing my part and God's doing his. And then what I feel is that tends to burn people out. From my experience, and even from the example from last week that we gave with the kid, he was completely justified in everything he was feeling. He felt like he did his part and God didn't show up. And when you're going about Hishtadlut in that way, then yeah, it's so easy to then revert back and be oh, I did my part and God didn't do his, so now I feel kind of betrayed. But now if you redefine the word Hishtadlut and you don't look at it from the aspect of a separation, but rather they're together. They're Hishtadlut and Emunah and Bitachon go hand in hand with each other. There isn't one or the other. It's simply they feed off of each other. And that's what creates an indestructible connection with Hashem. Because the way I referred to it yesterday was Hishtadlut is like the logic end, and Emunah and Bitachon is more on the faith end and trust. Things don't have to have logic, and things don't have to have the emotion aspect. But when you unite the two, they're honestly indestructible. Because when you're lacking on the knowledge end, you'll have the faith and the trust aspect kicking in, aka the emotion. But when the emotion's lacking, you'll have the knowledge to fall back on as well. So it's simply a safety net to either one. And why is it so beautiful? It's because the Torah has no limits. You can start the Torah from Devarim, which is that last book, or you can start the Torah from Bereshit. It doesn't matter. And the whole beauty aspect is literally that you can start it whenever. There is no limit to Hashem. There's not a set start and there's no set end. That you can come in on anything, come in the middle, come in on anything, start wherever you'd like, and you can still establish a connection with Hashem. But the thing is, the way it's taught down and the way it's brought down in school systems and rabbis talking, and it's not I don't feel like it's brought down in the most effective way. It's brought down showing that there's this set way and you have to go this way, and if you're not doing this way, then you're honestly less than. You're not at the same level, you're lacking, whatever the definition, whatever the translation is. And I feel like it's completely wrong. You don't have to go down this one set path. There's 72 different ways to understand the Torah. And when you have this understanding that's not coincide, it's not contradicting another, it's so much easier to relate and apply. And we live in this day and age where it's you have to have some logic behind it, and you have to have some emotion. And when you're lacking on one, Hashem's going to show you the other side. Again, that's training. You just go through it, you repeat, and eventually you get it down. And that's all it is. When somebody's lacking something or they feel like struggles are happening, Hashem's trying to teach you something, trying to open your mind to a new aspect, a new angle. But if you're going to keep that stubborn mindset, you're going to feel like it's a battle. Oh my gosh, this is just too much for me. When it's just toss it to Hashem. And we have to understand, Hishtadlut is simply a vessel. But we learned in the book of Gate of Trust, Shar Bitachon, that even an undeserving person can receive what they want if they have true Emunah and Bitachon. which means Hishtadlut, technically speaking, is not needed. You don't need Hishtadlut if you have true Emunah and Bitachon. But if you don't have that, then you're going to need it. So the simple equation is more Emunah equals less Hishtadlut. Less Emunah means more Hishtadlut, which means if the more you lack the connection to Hashem and trust that He's going to handle things, you're going to have to go and do your part. Go to an Ivy League school. Go get a really good job in this. You're going to have to go through the whole ringer because of the fact that you don't actually trust that Hashem's providing it. You feel like the object, your job, your schooling is all getting you what you're getting. And because of that, again, that's fine. Just understand Hashem's going to sit back and let that be the case. If you genuinely feel like, oh, my education is what's getting me this job, Hashem's going to make sure that you go get that education in order to get that job. When somebody can be sitting at home and he's like, no, Hashem's going to get me everything I need. Hashem will get him everything he needs. And it's not saying one is better than the other. It's simply one takes more effort, one takes less. Because he's taking his effort and giving it to Hashem, and one's trying to take responsibility for his effort, which is now requiring him to actually do more. You can connect on either way, and then the fact is, you can use the Hishtadlut to connect to Emunah. The end goal should be Emunah, but if you have more Emunah and you have less Hishtadlut, you should use the Emunah to then balance out on the Hishtadlut end. You can't go all in on one side. Because as soon as the faith end and the trust ends, let's say, you're not trusting in Hashem one day, you're throwing the whole entire religion out the window, because that's everything that you built it upon, was the trust end. You didn't have the Hishtadlut end. You didn't have the logic end. So when you're not feeling it and you wake up and you're not feeling holy one day and this and that, you're going to have the logic end. That's why it's important to learn what you're actually doing. Learn the reasons behind it. Question it. Because the more that you question it, the better understanding you have on it. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? So when you're not feeling like doing it, you can reinforce it with, oh, there's a reason behind it. And at the same time, don't just go in with full logic as, oh, this is the reason I'm doing it. And because let's say a flaw comes into the logic, you find a hole in the logic, which is what happened with last week's, with the kid. He found a hole in the logic that he was being taught. He tossed the whole entire religion away at 16 because he didn't feel it, because the logic, he went all in on logic, and there was a flaw in the logic, and he found it, and because of that, the whole thing gets terminated. But if he had the Emunah aspect and the trust and the belief and the faith aspect in God, then yeah, he's lacking on the knowledge end and the logic, but right when he's lacking on it, Hashem's taking, he's going to be like, at the end of the day, Hashem said so. Hashem told me to do this, so I'm doing it. The Torah says so. And then he'd find himself still connected. And that's where the balance comes in. They're simply, Emunah is a safety net to Hishtadlut, and Hishtadlut is a safety net to Emunah, because you need both. You need the balance of both. Hence, again, the logo is half a heart and half a brain. You need logic and you need Emunah. You need both. You can't go all in on each side. And Hashem understands that, which is why when people feel like they're doing so much good, he's still causing them pain and suffering, because maybe you're trying to move it around, because you can't just go all in on one side. Neither one is all right. You can't just drink water for the rest of your life. You need food. You can't just eat food for the rest of your life. You need water. There's a balance of both. You can't go all in on anything. So that's what it was about, and that's what I feel like the better understanding of what Hishtadlut really is. It's simply a vessel that's used to connect to Hashem, and it shouldn't be something that's like, oh, I'm not doing enough, so I have to do more. No, understand, if you did your part, you just woke up and you put your best foot forward, and it didn't happen, you know what? Hashem's handling it. You're not required to have to do more. If you feel like you want to and have to do more, Hashem's going to make it necessary. But again, that's you determine that. So hope you have an amazing week. And again, hope everybody had in mind Shalom ben Nechama Rachel. Thank you so much. Have a good one.